Yo, guys, welcome back to the Cooley Podcast. Welcome back to season 2, episode 106. On today's episode, we're going to be giving you our reaction to the UCL quarterfinal draw. No, not draw, like the games that happened. So it's like Man City Bayern, Real Madrid Chelsea, Benfica Inter, and Milan versus Napoli. We're going to be giving you our reaction to these games. As always, guys, I post a link on Twitter if you guys want to join and basically like discuss with us and give your thoughts and comments. Always feel free and welcome to. I post a link on Twitter at Chloe Podcast 10. Just click the link and you'll be able to join. But let me introduce my co-host for today, Aldo.
What's up, guys? How we doing?
All right, perfect. So, first game, Manchester City Bayern. Now, Man City absolutely destroyed Bayern Munich in their own home. They won 3-0. I would say the scoreline was maybe a little bit unfair, but at the same time, Manchester City deserved it. Manchester City played a very good game. I thought the first half was very even. If it wasn't for that Rodrigo goal, the Rodrigo goal at the start of the game, I think the game could have gone either ways. And if it wasn't for a couple of good saves from Anderson in the second half, the game could have tied. And then huge mistakes from Upamecano allowed Manchester City to just run rapid. But what are your thoughts on that game specifically?
It's the very first thing you said. 3-0 at home for Bayern. That is tough. That is very tough to come from. We know how strong Bayern is. We know they're one of the juggernauts of Europe. They have every right for people to not doubt them to come back away, but it's going to be very, very difficult against a very, very good City team. We see Haaland shining not only in the Premier League but in the Champions League with a goal and an assist yesterday. That team, I mean, I know they were my pick when we did the predictions, but I predicted them going deep. And I mean, 3-0 against arguably the best. I mean, Real Madrid were the two favorites to win it all in this and now in the quarterfinals, because people keep sleeping on Man City because their history in the UCL, all that crap. Bayern and Madrid have more history. Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Okay, so before we go on and like further examine like the rest of the games, let's give our thoughts on this game specifically and go a little bit more in depth. Because I have Manchester City to go all the way to the final, but I'll refrain from talking about that topic. Do you think it's possible for Bayern Munich to come back? Because it's 3-0. And Manchester City, I don't think that Manchester City are not going to score away from home. With Haaland, no.
I don't think Man City blows this. And if they blow this, it's Guardiola's ass.
Oh my God! I don't think Guardiola's going to be sacked. You think so?
I said this jokingly. He has too much rep to be sacked. But you know what a bad look it would be to go 3-0 in Munich and come back to your comfortable fashion and blow that. I would be shocked if that happened. Very shocked.
Yeah, I think there's no way Bayern, like, because here's the thing: who's going to be scoring the goals for Bayern Munich? Because this Bayern Munich, they don't have a lot of goals. This is a Bayern Munich that's been struggling in the league. They are top, but not by a comfortable margin.
Not how it should be.
Yeah, exactly. It's not how it should be. For example, and I thought on Tuesday that Choupo-Moting, I think he was a big miss. You know, like people make fun of Choupo-Moting, but having a recognized striker up top helps a ton, because in the game it was Serge Gnabry who was playing as like the number 9, and you just
but you don't realize when you have a traditional striker, someone like not even to how much they miss Lewandowski. Someone like that the center backs automatically not only man marker, but they prioritize him. That opens up the wing. That opens up the play down the middle. It opens up everything.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have to rely on your wingers. You play to your wingers in a natural fashion, and that's not the case with Bayern right now. They're relying on everything they have up top, and they don't have one guy that can take up some of the defenders with them.
Okay. Okay. So we both have Manchester City advancing. We can agree on that, right?
We do.
Okay. Haaland. The guy's an absolute machine. He's scored more goals than Chelsea in all competitions. That's crazy to think that Haaland is scoring more goals than Chelsea.
But then, like, well, I had a quick conversation with one of my boys the other day, and we were talking about who's the best player in the world right now. We were talking between Haaland and Mbappe. Not of all time, right now. When the World Cup finished, I said Mbappe.
Okay.
Right now, at this very moment, the hottest player in the world is Holland.
Hmm.
Because that motherfucker does not miss.
Okay,
He's not.
okay. On that topic, I would say the best player in the world is still Messi because okay, for example, like Messi, like he isn't scoring the same amount of goals as Haaland, but when you combine goals and assists, he has more than Haaland has goals and assists
Okay,
combined.
you know
So,
what?
so Messi is the player who has the most goal contributions in all of Europe right now.
You know what? I'll fix that up for you. The best young player in the world right now, the next coming of the next generation right now, dude.
Yeah.
Haaland does not give a shit who he comes up against. He
Yeah.
doesn't care about where he's playing. He's doing what he's asked to do, and that team is running very smoothly with Haaland.
But this is exactly why they signed him because, for example, when you think about last year in the game against Real Madrid, the amount of chances, and especially in the first half, I mean in the first leg
Yeah.
in Manchester, Man City should have beaten Real Madrid 7-8-9-3, something like that. The amount of chances that they missed were incredible, and because you don't punish Real Madrid and you don't put them to bed, Real Madrid come back. It's just like that. It was a 4-3 win for Manchester City. It wasn't anything huge, and so they suffered in the second leg, and that's why they came back. And I think the way that happened, especially conceding two goals, very late in the tie, that just made Pep go say, I need someone to put the ball in the back. I need it because yeah, I don't think that Holland is great technically. I think he is an absolute brick up top. He's like a tree trunk.
Yeah.
He's just
Oh,
there to put the ball. He,
you're
he's
right.
just he's just there to put the ball in the back of the net. That's all his job. He'll
And,
do
and,
his.
he's, and he's getting it done.
He's getting it done, and that's his main job, his main priority. And so Pep was, you know what? Let me just get Haaland. Let me get someone who can put the ball in the net because the way they went against Real Madrid, it was like there's no way that happens again. But now I asking you, and keeping in mind the result between Real Madrid and Chelsea, do you think that Manchester City is the favorite for the entire competition?
I'm gonna tell you this right now. Madrid, they were saved by a couple miracles in the second leg last year at home. This City team is very different with Holland. This is a different City team. They dominated Bayern.
Okay.
And bearing any miracles for Bayern, City's gonna advance. In my opinion, they're the favorites. We'll see how Madrid plays. We know that they're very good at adapting to game styles. We know they're a strong team. Yet last year they had difficulty beating City. This is a very different City team right now, just because of one player.
No. No. And
So
and and here's the thing: we're not even mentioning Alvarez, a World Cup winner, because
I was gonna, I
Alvarez.
was, I was gonna tell you that previously. The depth that team has on top.
Yeah.
You put Haaland. Okay,
No.
let's say for XYZ he gets injured.
You just bring in Julian Alvarez.
You bring Julian Alvarez, who he's not the huge guy that the Haaland is physically. Haaland is, I mean, Alvarez is a stud.
Yeah, Alvarez is a Pep player.
He's a stud.
He's a Pep player because he reminds me of David Villa, the player who what's it called is perfect. He can score goals and he gives passes.
And he's more tactical than Haaland.
Yeah, exactly. He's way more technical than Holland, and so he fits the system better. And this is why the question has been asked: does Manchester City play better with Holland or without Holland? That is a question that has been asked. But this is actually a perfect segue into the next game. Well, let's actually talk about a different game before we go on to the Real Madrid Chelsea. Let's talk about Benfica Inter. Now Benfica Inter, this is actually this was one of the surprises because Benfica they actually lost at home 2-0 against Inter. Now this was
No,
completely
no, no,
surprising.
no, no. No, Inter was playing at home.
No, what's it called? Inter was playing away. It
Are you
was
sure?
Benfica.
Are
Yeah,
you sure?
yeah. It was Benfica who was playing at home.
No, I could have sworn Inter was playing at home.
No, it was with Benfica. They were playing in Portugal, and when Inter
Yeah.
won, it was just like it was a shock because Benfica was one of those dark horses in the entire tournament. And seeing them lose at home and the way they were playing before, it was just crazy because we forget that this Benfica team, they put 7 goals past Club Brugge. Now I know Club Brugge isn't one of the best clubs in the world, but they're still in the Champions League, and to put 7 past them in 2 legs, it was pretty impressive. Um,
But
but
look, Benfica is they're always one of those teams that yes, they're not the big names. They
mhm,
always make those in Europe. They always do their thing. Even if they have a first round exit, they always do their thing. Just
mhm,
like you said, it is a surprise. I think most of us expected Benfica to advance over Inter. Obviously, this is the first leg; it's not game over, but we expected more of Benfica.
yeah.
Both are pretty underrated teams, but
Mhm.
Benfica, their play style and the youngsters that they have, we thought they would do more. It's gonna be tough because we know how tough it is to play at Inter.
What is surprising is that it's super important to distinguish two things: league form and cup form. For example, Inter for right now they're struggling in Syria. They're fifth
Yeah,
in the league,
yeah.
um, but in the Champions League they've done great. They've advanced to next group in what was the group of death. They beat Barcelona at home. They tied against them. They're in the quarterfinals and possibly with a good chance of making the semifinals. Imagine when was the last time Inter made to the semifinals? Um, and on top of that, for example, Manchester United versus Sevilla. Sevilla, they're battling relegation in La Liga, but they drew 2-2 against Man United, the team in third or fourth in the Prem. It just shows that league form and cup form, they're two
We
completely
see the
different
same
things.
thing with Madrid, and everybody's gonna say,
Yeah,
"Yeah, well, Madrid's second place." Okay,
exactly. But exactly, it's
it's
two
10
different
points.
things. The
It's
way
10
the way you approach the game is completely
points.
different. It's completely different. Maybe the mentality, the tactics, the way the
Exactly.
players, the hype, everything is just different. League form and cup form, they're two different things. Um, but for this time, Benfica now they have to go away to the San Siro. They have to go to Italy and they have to beat Inter.
And that's a tough field. So
It's a tough field. It's a tough field. So do you have Benfica beating Inter at home because
the
they're in the
one
need?
here's the one thing they have as an advantage: the aggregate goals and all that shit, the away goals and all that crap
Yeah,
is good.
hmm
So you score two or
it's
you have a
tied.
2 goal lead, it's tied.
Yeah,
It's way easier said than done, but you have an advantage this year that you didn't have last year.
hmm
Benfica is a really young and really good team. They have what it takes. That the chance for them to tie it up uh, to at two and
yeah.
going to overtime is way greater than Bayern has of tying it up with City. Benfica can open eyes. I think it's gonna. I can't say Inter's gonna advance. I feel it's gonna be a very very balanced game. I can't tell you who's gonna be the winner. If I think the safe bet is to say Inter, but again, we always see this upsets in the second leg.
Okay,
So
okay. So you're actually going for an upset. Wow.
my brain tells me Inter, my heart tells me Benfica.
Okay, okay. Well, that's interesting. Well,
But
that's
we'll
interesting.
see.
Well, this is actually surprising, but I think Inter's going to advance. I think that 2 goal lead, and the way they defended
I
and
know, I know.
they did,
That's what my brain tells me.
yeah, exactly. But now moving on to the Wednesday games. Well, we'll start off with the big one: Real Madrid versus Chelsea. Now, Chelsea's having a shocking season. I think their worst season of all time because
Yeah.
not only are they 11th in their league at this point of the stage, which club has spent over 600 million?
Dude, and
600.
how many
Six
coaches?
hundred.
How many coaches have they been through, bro?
They're on their fourth coach of the season.
In the
They
season, bro.
went
What is that,
Tuchel,
dog? What
Tuchel,
is that? That's that. You gotta give
Potter,
patience to your coaches,
Bruno,
bro.
and now Frank Lampard.
No,
It's just
now think about it. From now on, every coach that's placing that's given the Chelsea managerial position, they're placing a state of anxiety because they don't have the time to get used to the play style. They have to win now, and
mhm.
in their first hiccup, they're out.
Yeah. And here's the thing:
That's not a good role model for coaches right now.
the management from the top to bottom has been completely atrocious. The planning, the recruitment, the decision makings done by the board, it's just been awful. Because number one, if you bring a coach, you buy players for the coach. You give the coach time
Exactly.
to work with these players and do everything. Okay, in the summer, you spend what 300 million on players for Tuchel. 2 or 3 months into the season, you sack him. You sack Tuchel. So you just spent a ton of money for Tuchel, and then you sack him. So these players, and then after you buy Potter, Potter comes in, and the players that you bought for Tuchel, they're not going to work on the Potter. And then you repeat the same mistake. You go into the January transfer window. You spend another 300 million, and now you sack Potter 2 months. No, 3 or 4 months after he signed. So now you spent 600 million on two coaches on players for two coaches, and both of them are gone. Bruno comes in for just one game, and then you hire Frank Lampard.
Here's the issue that people might not realize: soccer or football is the only major sport where a manager or a coach has a say in what players he wants. In any other sport, you can suggest to the higher up. You can say, "I want this guy. I want this guy." In football, in soccer, you say, "This is the guy that I want for my team," and your team and the players on the team are shaped around your coach. We see that in every major club, and even in the minor clubs. The team's players work for the coach. They play in the style for the coach, and the coach wants them to be there. They aren't paid by the higher ups. So again, so it's what you're saying. You bring players for Tuchel, you sack them. Those players don't work. So now you bring players for Potter. So you have a cluster of players that don't have the chemistry that they need to win in the same team. So what are you doing in the summer now?
Exactly.
Are you going to take out half of the team?
No, but here's the thing. Number one, they're on extremely high wages.
Exactly.
High wages compared to the rest of the league. For example, playing for Chelsea, being on 200K a week, you're not gonna get that from any other team. In outside the Premier League, two. These players are on like extremely long contracts, 7 to 8 years. Which club gives players for 7 to 8 years? Those are prison sentences.
This is what happens
Those
when
aren't
you have
football
when
contracts.
you have an American owner. In,
Exactly,
in, in NBA and baseball, you can have 10-year contracts. In soccer,
exactly.
that's not the case.
Exactly.
So
And so Chelsea is a complete disaster the way they run. But let's focus on the game because we were talking about the problem
yeah,
that Chelsea has
yeah.
been facing off the pitch. This game specifically, I think Real Madrid are going away to this game extremely disappointed because at
They
the
should have done
sixth
more.
they should have done way more.
Yeah.
In the 60th minute, Chilwell gets a red card. It was a fair red card. He pulled him down. It was a tactical foul. Last man. I understand that. Like you can't do anything about that. In that 30-minute spell, Real Madrid should have up the
Yeah.
scoreline. Put four past Chelsea, because now when you go into the bridge, the Stamford Bridge, the game isn't. The game is over, but not really. Because, for example, if Chelsea have a miracle, if they have one of the best performances ever, they can come back because it's only two goals, and you're playing at home. So, and Real Madrid can go into that tie a little bit complacent and be like, hey, Chelsea aren't having that great of a season. We have a 2 goal advantage.
Yeah,
Let's
no,
just
no, no,
let's just go
no.
through it.
They underestimate them. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
they could
And yeah,
underestimate
and
them.
we all know 2-0 is the most deceiving
Yep,
scoreline
yep,
possible.
yep.
And
2-0, 3-1. Yeah,
exactly. And so Real Madrid need to be on the toes. The game isn't over, and so that's why I think Real Madrid go away from this game feeling a little bit disappointed.
I
But
agree with you. Yeah.
mhm,
No,
uh,
go ahead. Go ahead.
but I thought Vinicius, I thought Benzema, they played a very good game.
Yeah.
Vinicius absolutely cooked Reece James. I thought Kepa, oh my gosh, he had a disaster class. I fall for 2 goals. Maybe the first one a little bit iffy because hey, you maybe could have had a faster reaction time to that ball, but the second goal, like that it was an essential long shot. It goes between the defender's legs, and having those weak wrists, he goes down low and he doesn't block it. It's just that goal that is your fault. And so it's I don't see how Chelsea come back. Because to come back, you're gonna need to score 3 goals. Chelsea haven't scored a single goal. They've gone like 7 hours without scoring a goal. Just think that Chelsea have only scored 31 goals all season. That's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
That's nothing. And
I,
so,
I don't see how they come back. I think Madrid has to, as
yeah,
long
yeah,
as exactly, it's what you said. Madrid can go into this game saying, "Oh, let's get ready for the next opponent." They have to take it one game at a time.
yeah, exactly.
Madrid and Ancelotti are mature enough to realize that you gotta treat every game like it's the first leg, every game like it's
Hmm.
the final. And with that being said, this will be the most shocking outcome of the UCL if Madrid blows a 2-0 lead against Chelsea, the way Madrid has played in the UCL and the way Chelsea has played all season long.
Hmm.
It should be a no-brainer.
Yeah,
I don't see how Madrid loses this.
I don't see how Madrid loses either.
No.
And that basically makes it a Manchester City versus Real Madrid semifinal, a repeat of last year. A repeat of last year is just shows. And that game, that's gonna be very interesting because I'm not gonna say the result yet, but that tie is gonna be very different. The result of that is gonna be very different from last year. But now moving on to the final game, Milan versus Napoli.
Are you surprised?
Well, actually, I wasn't surprised because, well, I was surprised that Napoli lost, but at the same time, I wasn't because Napoli, they lost 4-0 to Milan in the league a couple of days ago. Now that was a huge surprising loss because Napoli, they've been one of the best teams in Europe so far. They're absolutely running away with the Serie A, and they
This
they
this
lose 4-0, and then they lose to Milan again.
this first leg, this loss was mental from the front nil.
I know.
I guarantee you, they went into that game being like, "Damn, we got slapped in that 4-0. Let's see how we react in a 1-0." And again, a 1-0 lead. Let's be realistic. That's as good as saying 0-0. That
Yeah,
you score your time.
yeah,
Not
exactly.
Napoli has been in great form all
Uh-huh.
season long.
And now, keep in mind they're going to be playing in the Maradona Stadium.
Exactly,
Napoli's going to be playing at home, and this is
exactly,
the same Napoli team that put four past Liverpool.
exactly. So
So that tie at home for Napoli, Milan is going to have a
I'm
fantastic
going for
performance.
Napoli. I think Napoli. I think
You
Napoli.
think
I
you,
think
you you
Napoli.
think?
I think Napoli goes out by 2.
Hmm. Okay.
Honestly,
Okay. Okay. Just to go against you, I'm gonna go for Milan. Just because, like, for example, Milan has 7 Champions Leagues. They're the club with the second most Champions League trophies of all time.
all right. So
Um,
you're gonna go with history. I'm gonna go with the pressure. I'm gonna go with the
exactly.
pressure.
I'm not going with history. And
All right.
Milan, they beat Napoli in the what's it called? In the league and in the first leg. I think they do have enough, but the return of Osimhen,
My prediction is is on the fact on the hope that Napoli mold their tactics for this game around all the shit that they did wrong against Milan in the league
yeah.
and the UCO. This is me
Hmm.
hoping that they learn from the mistakes.
Yeah.
If that's not the case, you're the betting man. You will get your win.
No,
But
no, and I'm actually going against my previous prediction because I said that Napoli was going to actually go
yeah,
through,
yeah,
but I'm saying it right now. I don't think so. Well, but hey, who knows? Osimhen and Kvaratskhelia, the two
yeah,
amazing players
exactly.
that Napoli have, they could be having an outstanding performance. Um, and so it's going to be a basically Milan derby as a semifinal on the other side of the bracket. When was the last time we saw a Milan derby in the semis? We have
I'm
to go a
from
long. We have to go a long way
all the way
back.
back.
We have to go a long way back.
Yeah, if Milan advances, that's gonna be a pretty exciting matchup. And if Napoli advances, which is why
Yeah, I know that's going to be super
either
interesting.
one's gonna be exciting.
It's going to be exciting. But guys, that was it for our reaction to the UCL quarterfinal games. As always, guys, let us know down in the comments below your thoughts, your disagreements. If you agree or anything or disagree with anything that we said, always let us know. And remember, I post a link on Twitter at Kool-Aid Podcast 10. All you have to do is click on the link, and then you'll be able to join and basically join the conversation. But as always, guys, like, subscribe, and comment. We'll see you guys all in the next episode.